Hi guys, karibuni sana to my channel. My name is Meshwa Shira, as you can see on my YouTube name, and you can also follow me on Instagram, Facebook. Tagline of the handle is Kuyakimesh. So today we are going to tackle on the book. I'm going to encourage you through the book of Philippians chapter 4 verse 15. Philippians chapter 4 verse 18 rather, not 15, and it says, I have received full payment and more. I am well supplied, having received from Epaphroditus the gifts you sent, a fragrant offering, a sacrifice acceptable and pleasing to God. I'm going to read it once more. It says, I have received full payment and more. I am well supplied, having received from Epaphroditus the gifts you sent, a fragrant offering, a sacrifice acceptable and pleasing to God. And this was Paul during the early days of his ministry, when he was just beginning, and he was talking to the church of Philippi, and he had received gifts from them through one of his spiritual sons he had sent, that was Epaphroditus, and he had received gifts from the church of Philippi. And what he says, he says that I have received a full payment and more. I am well supplied. And it's saying that the gifts that were sent to him, they are a fragrant offering, a sacrifice that is acceptable and pleasing to God. And so what this verse says is that the gifts that we sent, and when you look at other versions, it says that, especially the NLT, it says this is financial help. And so what this verse is encouraging us today is giving. That, remember, there is God's word that says it's much more blessed to give than to receive. And so what Paul is saying is that when the church of Philippi sent the gifts to him, these gifts were a sacrifice acceptable and pleasing to God. And we can apply this to our modern day. And that implies giving to in our churches, our local churches, giving to those people God uses to minister to us. When you give to them, maybe a financial aid, that is a sweet smelling sacrifice acceptable to God. So it is encouraging us that when we give, remember to involve in everything that you get. Remember to involve God in it. And this is specific to even our finances. Let it be not just about you. Involve God in it. And how do you involve God in your finances? It's through giving. It's through giving, and it's giving. How do you give to God? You give to God through giving to His ministers, through giving to His work, through partnerships, through tithes, through offerings. So this verse is encouraging us to give openly, give whatever. Remember, you only give what you have, and you give cheerfully. You give out of love, give out of fear. You give out of love. You do not give out of obligation. You give out of love. When you give out of love, you give cheerfully. So, what I'm encouraging you today is learn to put God first in your finances, in your giving. And it's not a popular thing to preach about. Yeah, but it's true. It's one of the ways that God blesses you. It's through your giving to your ministers. And remember, what you give is an acceptable sacrifice to God. So, how do you sacrifice to God? It's through giving to His man of God. And when you give to them, God blesses you. He does it in His own way. Maybe through favors, but He does it in His own way. He does it in His own way. And it's a journey. Remember, it's more blessed to give than to receive. And remember, in this verse, it was specific to finances, financial help. So remember, once you receive maybe your salary or your income, include God in it. And you include God in it through giving. Giving to the people that God has sent to you. You give to them. You give to them a portion. And then you take care of yourself through out of what is left. Remember, tithes, offerings, and that is God's way. And when I say it, it doesn't mean that it's easy for me, Pierre. It takes a commitment. It's a sacrifice. And I remember, like, when I got a certain job and I got a promotion through it, I remember that I gave a good amount from it to God through the minister that He has given me. And so when I did that, it was not easy, but it was me showing honor to God for giving me that promotion. So giving, sometimes it's a way of you expressing honor to God, because you realize that it is God who gave you those things. You did not give yourself. Everything you have, remember, you have received from God. It may not seem so, but it is true. Even the life that you have right now, it's a gift from God. Everything that you have, it's a gift from God. So that's how you involve God. And in giving, even as a believer, it's not just about money, it's about your time. Also, the time, the resources, it's that you set apart to God. And once you do that, God blesses you in His own way. And remember, when you give it out of cheer, out of joy. It's a habit that you cultivate as a believer. And it is more blessed to give than to receive. It's more blessed to give than to receive. It is what that sets us apart as a believer, even in this world. Many people are bent on receiving, but it is what you give that sets you out, sets you apart. Giving. And you give voluntarily. You give it not out of being forced, but you give it out of your own will. it's a test for love. I remember John 3:16, it says, for God so loved the world that he gave his only son. He gave. So love is demonstrated in giving. And sometimes, not sometimes, most of the times, your love to God is tested through giving. And your giving, it's not just about money, it's about your time. Giving your time to him, your private time to him, and financially taking care of the ministers that God sends to you. And it's a way of honor. It's a way of honor. It's a way of honoring them and showing and expressing honor to God. Remember, it says it's a sweet, it's a fragrant offering, a sacrifice, acceptable and pleasing to God. So when you give, have this mindset that you're giving to God, not man. Man is just a vessel, but you are really giving to God in his way. So it is whatever he demands. Yeah, it is more blessed to give than to receive. So once it shows us that our life belongs to him, and so learn to give. You start with what you have. So maybe you have a small job with a small income. Start with what you have. Select a portion. It is what God inspires you to give to him, and you give it through to them. And that's the mentality that we should have. It's not just about finances. Us as individually, we need to learn to give, and giving consistently, giving patiently, because you do not give with the aim of what to get out of it. Give it with the aim of thanksgiving, expressing thanksgiving to God, and it is very important. It's an aspect of faith, because giving is based entirely on our faith as believers here on earth. Giving is a form of faith. It's expressing our faith. Remember, we walk not by faith. We walk by faith and not by sight. Sight means the natural standpoint. Faith means we walk by our convictions based on God's promises for us. So that's it. What I'm encouraging you is learn to cultivate the habit of giving, and do it freely, and pray a lot. If you find that you are struggling in that area, pray about it. Tell God to give you the strength to learn to give, and to give out of love, not out of obligation, not just out of duty. You give out of love, and sometimes it's not easy, but sometimes you just have to know the norms that are around you, and to do it personally out of your conviction. That's it. Thank you for tuning in once more. My name is Mesho Shira. It's always a blessing to see you. Have a great week.